So true to form, once again, the Democratic Party proves their lack of being adept at money management. And not just that, their misappropriation of said funds. They constantly do this. Let's go back to the election between Kamala Harris and President Donald Trump. And she raised $1.5 billion and was still $20 million in the hole after the election. She could not pay her debts, pay her people, her staffers, and had to borrow more money. This is a constant with the Democrats, the ones who profess, to no end that the Republican Party, the GOP, are run by oligarchs and billionaires. No, both of you are. Both sides are. You guys have both proven that. And California is a prime example of how this continues to perpetuate when it comes to their homeless problem. Stick around. This is a good one. And if you still feel that any of these people that are in charge presently are good examples of how things should be run, you're not paying any attention. Gavin Newsom constantly fails. And here is another example of it.
31-year-old Cody Holmes was arrested this morning for allegedly siphoning public funds earmarked for a homeless housing project in Thousand Oaks. In a separate case, 44-year-old Stephen Taylor was indicted for allegedly defrauding lenders, inflating the value of properties sold to Project Home Key developers.
Investigations that led to the Holmes arrest.
Okay, this is something I just want to touch base on too. This whole inflating the property value. Excuse me. Is that not some of the charges they brought Trump up on? That he was exaggerating how much his, like Mar-a-Lago and stuff were worth, and was getting loans based off of that. Which, the banks got paid back. They got all their money back. They made a profit off of it. So there was no loss, but they still tried to hang Trump out to dry over that. Trying to defraud the banks and the government and with real estate, which is what this guy has been doing. But it just goes to show, both sides are governed by money. Both sides are governed by money. It doesn't matter. That's the ruling class. Money's the ruling class. They prove it time and time again. Doesn't matter if you're Democrat. Doesn't matter if you're Republican, a socialist or a capitalist. You're all of them are governed by money, by the almighty dollar. Doesn't matter if you are a communist or in a republic, a democratic republic. You're governed by money. Period. Does not matter who you are. Greed is the driver of this world and all governments. All of them. Because you think for 1 second, like Zoran Mamdani up there, that's trying to run for mayor of New York, if you think for 1 second that man's not going to line his pockets, especially with, 52% taxes? He's trying to add another 2% tax on to residents of New York City. You're not paying attention. You're not paying any attention. They blew through $24 billion in California to eradicate homelessness and have eradicated nothing. It's actually gotten progressively worse because they funnel this money through these nonprofits and through people like Mr. Holmes and Mr. Taylor, and that money trickles out to other people. It's just a scheme. It's a big scheme. They may start a project, get a little bit done, turn in a little bit of paperwork, so it looks like they're utilizing this money, and then ask for more money because they have to spend that same amount that they got the previous year in the grant or the loan or whatever, however they got it. The funds were appropriated to them, so they can get the same amount. And I mean, they're blowing it. They're wasting it. Mr. Taylor paid off $2.2 million worth of credit card debt for the frivolous spending that he did with a jet, and I think it was like $50,000 VIP tickets to Coachella. Not helping homeless people. They don't care. They do not care. Your precious Dems don't care. You want to talk about the GOP not caring. Raising, prices going up on this, prices going up on that. Trump's tariffs this, Trump's tariffs that. This ballroom BS, like they're all about money. Gavin Newsom hasn't helped the problem at all. He's continued to perpetuate it. That's why he shot down anything that could help at all with true reparations being paid out in his state. And don't think I support reparations, because I don't think it's ridiculous. I think it's absolutely ridiculous. It's like you have a relative 2 or 3 generations back who stole something from somebody and owes that debt, and they're coming to your house because you're related to them, and they're going to collect it. That's the exact same thing. That's stupid. Just as stupid as this is. $24 billion should have gotten rid of the homeless problem in the state of California. 180,000 homeless. Easily taken care of with the $24 billion. $24 billion. They don't know where the hell it's at. They have no idea. They can't account for it. Well, I guess they can account for Mr. Taylor and Mr. Holmes, where the money that they have laundered and wasted.
And Taylor indictment are just the beginning. We will continue to go where the evidence takes us. We are tracking billions of dollars of public money coming into our 7-county district that is intended to be going to address homelessness. Too often, this money has been wasted, mismanaged, or outright stolen.
With more, we continue our conversation with LAist Watchdog correspondent Nick Gerda. Nick, you've long covered LA's homelessness crisis and the response to it. What's your reaction to these charges? Are you surprised by what you heard today?
It's a good question. In some ways, I was not surprised because one of the deals that they're describing in these charges, I've actually been investigating myself for a number of months here at LAist, going over thousands of pages of documents, totally separately and independently from the government's investigation. Again, we're an independent news agency, but we've been looking into that deal, and it's certainly raised a lot of questions among many people who've looked at it around a property flip where this person who's been indicted, Stephen Taylor, purchased a property, or is alleged to have purchased a property for $11 million, and then a short time after that sold it to taxpayers essentially for $27 million, and explaining that price increase is there's a lot of questions around that. And what the government's alleging here is that he had made some false statements to lenders who are lending money for that, but there seems to be more that they know that they haven't really come out with yet about that deal. We've been investigating that, like I said, and it's unfortunate. It's always unfortunate to see allegations that dollars that are meant to be serving vulnerable people are misused. Again, these are allegations, but it's something that we take very seriously at LAist. We've been investigating. We're going to continue to investigate, and it's at a time when there's been a number of audits and other reports and investigations that have found that in Los Angeles, there's unfortunately been an environment where there's not the kind of stringent checking of what's happening with.
That is a huge issue. Because there's no accountability. There are no checks and balances, because they don't want that. They don't want it. They don't want a paper trail, so to speak. I'm sure there's a ledger somewhere. I'm sure there are books being kept somewhere, because they want to know where their money goes. They want to know whose bread's getting buttered, who owes who favors. There's always record of even the most nefarious of dealings. Especially in those realms, because it's also leverage. It's not just keeping track of favors and debts owed, it's also leverage. But it's absolutely absurd. We've got Mr. Cody Holmes here, who is accused of fraudulently obtaining approximately $25.9 million in state grant money as the CFO, the Chief Financial Officer of Shangri-La Industries. And the funds were part of California's Home Key program aimed at converting properties into housing for homeless. He faked bank records. The allegations against Holmes are faked bank records. Let's see. Misuse of funds with a potential sentencing of 20 years in federal prison. I doubt he sees that much. I'm sure he has a nest egg sitting out somewhere to cover his ass should something like this arise. I mean, they always have a safety net of some sort, and a financial safety net is the best. But yeah, his misuse of funds, like I said earlier, was over $2 million. It's $2.2 million, as a matter of fact. They used of grant money to cover personal expenses on a credit card. And of course, Mr. Stephen Taylor, a Brentwood developer, facing multiple felony fraud charges related to California's Home Key program as well. So they're definitely it's all tied together. All these people are tied together. There's no telling how far up the corporate chain and just the corporate butt, into the federal rungs of that state of California and the political plateaus and platforms that this money was funneled through, that Mr. Taylor and Mr. Holmes are connected with. Because that's nothing. That's 11.2 million plus the 25 million that Mr. Holmes has also laundered. I mean, that's a barely a drop in the bucket of the 25 billion that's gone, that's missing. So it's appalling. It's appalling that these people continue, because I mean this had to go through an appropriation committee, and it had to go through the state of California to approve this money to these guys who apparently did not, or they did vet them. They knew exactly what they were doing. That's what I'm saying. This is what I'm really trying to get at, is that it is 100% backed by some blanket corporation or some facet of the political landscape that's the true puppeteers. That's where most of that money went. So let's get a little more insight in regards to the absolute CF that's going on in LA, and I mean it's applicable to the rest of the state as well.
Gail, give us your perspective as someone who covers this issue. How has the homelessness crisis in Los Angeles evolved over the years?
Well, it was on the back burner for decades. The city, the main homeless area, Skid Row, the city made a conscious decision to kind of contain the main group of homeless people there. But as the downtown revived, they encroached more and more on the places that people lived around downtown. And LA has always had several areas, of course, that had.
And see, she said it right then. They pretty much corralled the homeless people into one area, Skid Row, or to that main area there. And there's a few others she was just about to mention. That was their solution. It wasn't to build proper housing or any kind of shelter for these people. It wasn't to get them proper medicine to address any mental health issues, or to help some of them find gainful employment, because I'm sure there are quite a few that are able-bodied people and who can work at least some form of gainful employment to help build them up. That's one of the things I've told my kids. You know, they've seen me work 2 or 3 jobs at a time. They've seen me right now on average work 70 hours a week and more if I can get it. I've hit 80, I've hit 90s, I've hit 100 a couple of times. It's difficult to do that and still maintain a home and be, you know, a participant in that. But they have seen that work ethic and the drive, because not only is it something that's beneficial for my family, I'm going to always provide for my people as long as I can do so, but it helps to build yourself up, that sense of well-being. It's a good, healthy metric for a person. So there's a lot of benefit that this process could have taken with that $25 billion, but it benefited the rich. It didn't benefit the poor, the destitute, the needy. They got kicked by the wayside and left in the damn streets.
A lot of homeless people, one being Hollywood, what used to be called Runaways, and also Venice, it was kind of Jim Morrison, Bohemian. Homeless, that completely changed coming out of the recession as the rents rose and the incomes didn't. Homelessness spread all over the LA basin, and there's tents, encampments, just people lying in doorways with a single blanket, literally. Not every single street, of course, but in every single neighborhood.
Wow. A UCLA study found that the increase in housing costs is a significant factor in the state's homeless crisis. You just alluded to that. Is that in line with what you've seen during your reporting?
Definitely, and I think in the past, I began reporting on this more like 5 years ago, and the federal government and here locally were focused on what's called the chronically homeless, so people who've been homeless either off and on or continuously for a long time. But now we have all these people being forced out of their housing by rising rents primarily.
There you have it. I mean, I've researched a lot of this and watched a lot of videos, and it's just a regurgitation of the same thing over and over and over again. It has been for some time now, and it's that way across the entire United States. I mean, I'm not just picking on California, as this happens to be the story with these two gentlemen. But this is not an isolated event. The ones that are supposed to care don't. They don't care. And it just burns. It burns me when these Democrats try to stand on some kind of moral high ground. They have nothing to stand on. Lies. Virtue signaling, lies, fear-mongering. They don't care. They do not care. It's disheartening. It's infuriating. So I mean, I'm glad these guys are getting what they have coming to them, and I really hope that they aren't able to buy their way out of it, and they get to get used and become a cautionary tale, because very deserving. They need prison. They need prison time. But as always, I hope you guys leave comments. Let me know what you think and how you feel about it. I'm very interested in that. And like, share, and subscribe. It's pretty easy just to click on that screen. So, and I thank you, and I'll see you next time.